when all the students arrived here, basically, some of us were afraid to go out on the trails because we didn't want to get lost. So we decided that we would put trail signs so that people wouldn't get lost.
And putting in trail signs is really sustainable because when we feel lost, it's almost our instinct to just try to like make a direct beeline. So trail signs will keep people on the trails and not like running all over the terrain we have here. And that way we have like all of our impact concentrated just on the trails.
And another reason why we built trail signs is we think it creates a sense of place rather than just having a whole bunch of really beautiful trails that you're like, oh yeah, like I was out on that trail the other day. It was like the one where you have to go over that rock and then there's like a bridge and then you're like, oh, I was on the fire road and then I took good old Swinger. So we think it creates a sense of place.
Up behind the west side cabins on the other side of campus, we left some trails unmarked because we wanted to leave a little bit of the Woolman frontier.
This is our solar dehydrator. We built it to dry fruit, herbs for tea.
The purpose of building this was kind of to fit into Woolman's aim at being sustainable and self-sufficient. And in the spring semester, a lot of the fruit we eat either comes from jams and preserves that Woolman dries from their orchard. And by making this, we can really fulfill Woolman's commitment to eating sustainable and local foods because it enables Woolman to have a whole other way of preserving fruit during the fall, so students during the spring semester can have a chance to eat it.
The heat rises through and goes into the box and rises vertically through all the screens. And that's how it's done.
We started drying this fruit yesterday afternoon around 3 o'clock. This is the apples. And we took it out last night. And they're like about a quarter of like the way of being dry.
I chose for my sustainability project to make an insulation quilt. The purpose of these quilts is to trap heat and increase the building's energy efficiency and energy conservation. And so the way that this energy efficiency and conservation is measured is through a kind of marker called R value. Like the highest R value a window can have is 9, which is pretty amazing. R's, which are single pane windows, have an R value of 1. Adding an extra layer of warm insulating material onto the window can help it to trap heat and ultimately really raise the R value.
For my sustainability project, I chose to make a natural dye garden because I am passionate about using natural materials to create beautiful art, and I wanted more experience working with plants and working in the garden. The technique that I ended up using for this garden is a technique called Hügelkultur, which is a German word meaning hill culture. And basically what I did was I dug up this area of sod, because it was just grass before, and I laid down layers of wood, compost, soil, natural materials, and this allows there to be a really fertile area for your plants to grow on, and it ensures that you get lots of microbes and nutrients in the soil of your garden bed. They're black hollyhocks, and you can use the blossoms to create like a deep purplish, blackish color. These are sunflowers. They've been eaten a little bit, but their seeds actually make a deep, dark, brownish black. So why use natural dyes? All of our clothes have their own stories, and you get to decide what that story will be. When you use plant dyes for fiber, it connects you to the natural beauty of the earth and it continues your appreciation for color.
For my sustainability project, I worked on experimenting making a methane digester. A methane digester is a system, simple or complicated, that harnesses the methane that is naturally given off by organic materials such as manure, food waste, and such as that. It's a really overlooked use of energy. We have so much waste, like
Some of it's being used as fertilizer, some like cow manure, being shipped off, maybe even being sold, not actually used by the farmers. So it's a really interesting way to fuel different things. So I hooked it up to a Bunsen burner. So maybe fuel a cooker, it can even be transmuted into electricity source. And I don't know. So in that way, it's a really cyclic system. So you have the cows and they're pooping, and then you put it in here, and you get some heating and nourishes you, and you nourish the land. So it kind of goes full circle in that sense. It's definitely an experimental system. I'm not really sure where it's going from here, but there's definitely a lot of directions it can take, and it's definitely a really good first step. And I composed a really easy digester guide, so people know how to load it, when to load it. It can be kept track of contacts, so future people can know how to go from here.
We put a lot of value into our local food, and whatever we don't produce in the garden, we try to produce or to buy fair trade and organic and mostly local. And we compost a lot, and food is really wasted. It's really important that we know our soil and the things that we're growing are not only organic, but just in general safe and chemical-free.
Top bar hives are a more natural alternative to lake strip hives, and they are triangular in shape, which encourages the natural shape that bees would build their hives in normally. They were developed in Africa a really long time ago, and honey is harvested just by crushing the entire comb and straining it.
I decided to make a field guide that was specific to Woolman's campus. This field guide eventually would contain all the plants and animals on campus. And the number of species I believe on campus is around 300 to 400. It's pretty rough. So yeah, I hope that a future student will add to this, because there is not everything in there, but there's a good representation of pretty much everything.
A big part of our environmental science class this year, or this semester, has been forming a connection with this place. And we thought that one way to enhance that would be to have class outside more often. And so that led to our sustainability project, which is an outdoor classroom. And a lot of kids are actually a little bit scared to spend time outside, or they're uncomfortable in the outdoors. And if you're having class outside every day, eventually that discomfort's going to go away. You're going to feel very comfortable outside, and then eventually the separation that you got with the outdoors is going to dissolve. And then because of a circle of benches under an arbor, you've got a group of kids who are going to be as connected to their computer screens as they are to the world outside.
This was like a perfect space close to the classroom, and it wouldn't involve like I guess leveling the land up there, so we already had like a roof structure, and it was just like a perfect spot.
I think one of the most exciting things about sustainability projects is really just the community involvement, and how I think sometimes it's maybe challenging for the students because they see some of the context into which the project fits, but they don't have that multi-year perspective, and so many of the community members get to see that multi-year perspective and kind of watch the different projects really grow and blossom and then bear fruit, and then we get to harvest it. It's so exciting.